There's an old story about a traveler who comes across 3 bricklayers. He asks the first one what he's doing, and the man says, "I'm laying bricks." He asks the second, who says, "I'm building a wall." But the third bricklayer smiles and says, "I'm building a cathedral." All 3 are doing the same work, but only one of them sees the bigger picture. The third bricklayer isn't just focused on the task in front of him. He has a vision and a purpose and a reason for what he's doing. So many of us are stuck laying bricks, going through the motions and checking off to-do lists without ever realizing that we're meant to build something extraordinary. I've been there too, and I know how hard it is to break out of autopilot. If you've been feeling like your life is just one mindless brick after another, then this video is for you. I am going to show you how to shift from autopilot to intention, to stop laying bricks and to start designing a life that you truly love. Let's dive in. We're going to go through 5 practical steps, and the first one is about your own autopilot triggers. Do you ever get to the end of the day and wonder where your time went? It feels like life is one big checklist. Wake up, work, errands, bed, repeat. Over time, this can leave you feeling disconnected and stuck, like you're just existing instead of truly thriving. This reminds me of a time when I was working as a family doctor. I reached the end of the day and realized that I could barely remember the details of any of the conversations that I'd had during the day with patients. I just kind of zoned out, working on autopilot, doing what needed to be done, but not really being present. It was such a wake-up call. How much of my life was I sleepwalking through? The first step to living with intention is to identify your autopilot triggers. Spend 1 week tracking your day. Notice when you're fully engaged versus when you're zoning out or going through the motions. Pay attention to patterns. Research shows that becoming aware of our habits is the first step to changing them. A study from Duke University found that nearly 40% of what we do daily is habitual, which means that many of our actions are just automatic. Awareness gives you the power to interrupt these patterns and to replace them with intentional choices. Okay, let's move on to step number 2, which is where we're going to get some clarity. Do you ever feel like your days are packed, but none of it feels meaningful? You're checking off tasks and meeting deadlines and handling responsibilities, but there's a nagging sense that something is missing. This happens because we focus on what's urgent instead of what's important. We let other people's priorities and deadlines or distractions dictate how we spend our time. Without clarity on what truly matters, it's really easy to lose sight of your purpose. I started to see this a lot when I began coaching people. Many of my clients were overwhelmed, juggling work and taking care of kids and their households, and just completely burned out. When I asked what they truly wanted for themselves, most struggled to answer. It wasn't because they didn't have dreams, it was because they had never given themselves permission to focus on those dreams. That's why it is so important to clarify your values. And this is step number 2, clarify what really matters. Take some time to reflect on the 5 most important things in your life. These are the non-negotiables that bring fulfillment and guide your decisions. There's a quote from Seneca that I love. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Knowing your values is like setting your compass. So here's what you can do. Spend 10 minutes reflecting on moments when you felt proud or fulfilled. Write down what truly lights you up versus what drains you, and then revisit this list weekly to stay aligned. And if you want some more help with identifying your purpose, go ahead and watch the video that I uploaded recently about how to discover your purpose in 5 easy steps. I will link it here on the screen. Okay, in the next step, let's take a look at how you're making decisions. So let me ask you, do you ever feel overwhelmed because you have said yes to too many things? You're stretched thin, exhausted, and you're wondering why you committed to half of it. We all do this, saying yes out of guilt or habit or fear of missing out. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. This lack of intentionality can lead to burnout and resentment, and that leaves very little room for what truly aligns with your goals. This hit me hard when I first started building my business. I said yes to every invitation and to every opportunity and every favor that was asked of me. I thought being helpful helpful and agreeable was the same thing as being valuable. But the more that I said yes, the more drained I felt. It wasn't until I started pausing before agreeing to things that I realized just how much I needed boundaries. The solution is to practice mindful decision making, and this is step number 3. Pause before saying yes to anything. Ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the life that I want? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to say no. If you need more help saying no, watch the video that I recently uploaded about exactly how to say no with grace, without feeling guilty, and without being rude. Okay, that brings us to step number 4. I know that a lot of us feel like we're rushing through life, multitasking our way through the day, and just barely noticing what is happening around us. It feels like living on fast forward, and it's exhausting. This lack of presence is one of the biggest struggles of modern life. We're constantly distracted and pulled in different directions, and it's really hard to savor the moment when you're always thinking about the next thing. One of my favorite pieces of wisdom comes from Buddha, who said, "When walking, walk. When eating, eat." It's a reminder that mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. It's simply about being fully present in whatever you're doing. The way to counter this multitasking, distracted tendency is by building tiny rituals for presence, and this is step number 4. These micro rituals don't have to be big or complicated. They're small, intentional moments that ground you and bring you back to yourself. So here are some ideas. Start your morning with 5 deep breaths or a gratitude practice. Focus on sensory details when making tea or coffee, the smell, the warmth, and the sound. And once a day, take a tech-free walk, even for just 10 minutes, and notice your surroundings. If you want more ideas for rituals, especially self-care rituals, then you might be interested in my free self-care checklist that I put together recently. It's a free, instant download, and I will just put the link in the description below. Okay, let's move on and talk about the final step, number 5. If you feel like the grind of daily life has swallowed you whole, meaning you're busy and productive and getting things done, but it all feels disconnected, like you're building a wall without knowing why, then this final tip is going to help. Without a vision, it's really easy to lose motivation and direction. Your life just becomes about tasks, not purpose. Every day starts to just blur into the next because there is no bigger picture to give those tasks meaning. This is what leads so many people to burnout or that midlife crisis moment where they wonder if they have been climbing the wrong mountain all along. But when you have a vision, everything changes. Suddenly, the small, mundane tasks take on a new significance because they are part of something greater. You're no longer just laying bricks, you're building a cathedral. A clear vision doesn't just guide your decisions, it inspires you, giving you a sense of purpose and excitement about the future. So this final step is to actually envision your cathedral. Think about the legacy that you want to create and the life that you truly want to build. This isn't about having all the answers or figuring out every step right now. It's about giving yourself permission to dream and imagine. Just close your eyes and picture it in vivid detail. What does your ideal life look like? Who are you with? What are you doing? How do you feel? Let that vision come alive in your mind and then write it down. This becomes your blueprint for intentional living. It's something that you can revisit whenever you feel lost or overwhelmed. And don't worry if your vision evolves over time. That's totally normal. The important part is having a starting point, a North Star to guide you. This is how you move from simply surviving to truly living a life of purpose and meaning. Okay, so that's what I've got for you today. Now I would love to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated the most with you? Let me know in the comments. And again, if you would like something concrete to help you to design some self-care rituals, then go ahead and download my free guide by following the link that's below. I want to remind you that living with intention doesn't mean having all the answers or a perfect plan. It means making small, consistent choices that align with the life that you want to create. It's about waking up every day knowing that you are laying bricks with purpose. In other words, building your cathedral. If you like this video, I think that you are going to love this next one that I am linking right up here, which is about the 12 things that I let go of to live a happier, more fulfilled life. I will see you there. First, a sip of tea. First things first. Hang on. Pause for tea again. Okay, that brings us to step number 4. But first, tea. I don't know why, I just feel like having tea right now. Focus on sensory details when making tea or of course I'm talking about tea.